I feel French. I don't know why. Why do I feel French?
Because it's the blue, white, and red.
And girl, blue where?
Isn't that what's on your shirt?
It's black.
Oh,
she colorblind.
Oh, yeah.
She's calling me the American flag.
And yeah, that's not French.
I thought it was like navy.
No, it's because the French they usually have
there's
that
like
close.
some type of. I feel like there's like a what is it? A phenomenon.
Mimes.
Yes,
that's
the
what
mimes. So when we
French.
start, be like. That's funny.
Yeah, and then the French hats, the red. But yeah, like
the bread?
just like
The bread.
beret. Yeah.
Did you say bread?
Yeah, that's what she sounds like. The bread.
Beret. What is it called?
You're like a French baguette. I love that.
No, like this.
Like
You're stuck in a box. Sorry, and then what was that?
Soy sriracha.
Soy sin nalga. Oh, yeah.
Fuck, that's a good.
That was funny.
Because sriracha.
That was funny as hell.
Dude, you should be a comedian.
Yeah, you
You gotta be
should.
cracking up. Okay.
Every time I say that word, it reminds me of like, we are the world,
We are
the children.
We are the ones who make a better day. So let's start
giving.
Given.
I thought it was
There's a
start giving or
choice
start
made.
living.
I thought it was living, but I was like, I feel like giving makes sense, no?
So let's.
I just know the beginning. We are the world.
Wait.
Hola, amigas. Welcome to our 4th episode.
Y si no nos conocen, soy Mati.
Soy Brie.
Yo soy Diana.
Y somos
Puro Pink Chisme.
All right, guys. Before we start and we get into all the juicy stuff, I have a fun would you rather. It's kind of a would you rather, I guess. In this case, I'm going to read you a couple like options. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. You can only pick 2 out of the 6. Would you would you rather have $55K every month? Like that's just for the rest of your life, $55K. No taxes ever. Unlimited food. A brand new car. $250,000 now. Or a 6-figure job. You can only pick 2 of those.
I would choose $55K a month and no taxes for the rest of my life.
Okay. What about you?
Okay, so would I be able to choose the $55K and still have like a 6-figure job to make it more?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you could.
you could.
Because I'm thinking, I mean, I feel like I'm going too much into it because I was gonna say like, is it like a office job or is it like a content creator?
Anything.
Like I feel like
Puro Pink Chisme, 6 figures.
yeah, I would say $55K a month and a 6-figure job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would do what you did. $55K every month and no taxes. Because I don't want the $55K to get taxed, you know?
That is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, because
And
you're
then
going to
you're-
get taxed hella with
Oh,
your
yeah, no,
55
hold on, take that back. Take it
and
back.
your 6-figure job.
No, for real, that is true actually.
Yeah.
Because if I could do, even if I don't make, let me retract that.
Okay.
$55K, no taxes, and only because I could still have another job, not necessarily make 6 figures,
That's true.
and not get taxed.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
So I'll say that.
Yeah. Although even if I was at $55K a month and making over 6 figures, I feel like at that point you're just kind of like taxes schmaxes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It could go different ways.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
But yeah, I was like, who would pick the no food? Like,
Or a brand new car.
What did it say? Did it say no food?
They said free food.
Free food.
Unlimited food.
Unlimited
Unlimited.
food. Yeah.
That would
I
be
mean,
the big
'cause-
back at me talking like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want unlimited food for the rest.
Yeah, but if you have your 55K, you can get all the food you
That's true.
Yeah.
That
And
is
you're not
true.
getting taxed on the money
That
on
is-
the $12
want.
eggs.
For real. That part.
That is true.
Oh, wait, are we talking about everything taxed?
Everything in
Oh,
your
yeah,
life.
no. Yeah, no taxes. For all of it.
That would be a good thing.
That's smart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking about, financial and all of that, choosing decisions, I've been feeling very bittersweet, I would say. As you guys know, I recently got engaged, and a lot of people might not know this about me, but I'm still living at home with my parents, right? And I feel like really bittersweet because I'm I am moving out in about a month.
Wow.
Yeah, and it feels really like exciting, to start this new chapter in my life. But at the same time, I feel sad because I'm leaving my parents. I wouldn't say leave my parents, but
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. I feel like the little girl, their little
Yeah.
girl is leaving. And I
Yeah.
feel like as an only child, it's a lot more difficult. But I am really excited to start this new chapter.
Definitely. And I bet like it's hard for you, but imagine how they feel.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very difficult. Even not even just with me. I have Milo, my golden retriever.
Yeah.
My parents, they were like your typical Hispanic parent. Yo no quiero perro en esta casa. Now you'll catch them rubbing his belly, singing him songs.
Yeah.
And it's just I feel like low-key, I feel like they want him to stay. They'd rather,
Yeah.
they're going to miss him more than they're
Yeah.
going to miss me.
You can buy them a new dog.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't. That's my little baby.
Yeah.
I can't. But I kind of wanted to get into that this episode because we all kind of experienced this very different,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 26 and I'm just now going to move out.
That is true. And honestly, I did want to, right before we get into all of this, just, let you know and let anyone else who might be in the same situation, it's definitely tough. And I'm sure it's tougher because you're an only child, but this is definitely part of growing up.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to communicate that you don't love any less,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's definitely just, they did it before and now it's your turn,
Yeah.
And I think that goes for anybody.
Definitely. And I will say, just because I moved out a while ago, I will say your relationship with, you have both your mom and your dad, but when I moved out, my relationship with my mom got a little bit better. I feel like the distance is a good thing sometimes, especially because, you've been there your whole life, with them, and it's going to be good for you guys to be, not so codependent on each other.
Yeah.
And it'll be fun for you and Kevin.
Yeah, it definitely will. It's a new chapter, I would say, for both of our lives. Not just, I don't mean Kevin specific, obviously him, but for my parents as well.
Yeah.
It's just going to be them. And it's not it's just different because it's different from when you're younger to when you're older. There's definitely pros and cons. And like you said, there's, a big transition, but I don't know. It is a little scary. I won't lie, but it's also I know I'm still going to be visiting them. I'm still going to, but I am
Yeah.
excited to start that. I really am because I feel like I needed a change. And I don't just necessarily mean to get away from my parents. I'm just ready to start my life on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I will say with that, I'm sure there's a lot of people who either have thoughts on, I don't want to say thoughts, I want to say maybe have different views on moving out, or have thought I should have done this when I moved out, or I wish somebody would have told me this when I moved out, And honestly, in the Latino culture in general, moving out is a big deal, and I feel like it's a big deal because in general, a lot of the culture expects you to stay home until you are either married or until you're financially stable.
Right.
And it's kind of looked at as the sign of you're not valuing what they have given you or what they have taught you. And that's where I think, I don't know about you guys,
Or just
but
the tradition in
or
general.
just the
Just
tradition.
traditions,
And I
yeah.
don't, I'm not sure if you guys had the same situation, but I moved out like, I won't say I moved out super young, but I moved out pretty young. And it was always like, ¿y qué van a decir las personas?
Yeah.
Que like, no estés casado.
Mhm.
No, what's going to happen here? What's going to happen there? So I feel like that gets into our mind a lot.
Yeah.
Especially, and I will say especially probably I'm sure it's predominantly with us girls moving out of the house versus
Mm-hmm.
a guy who would be leaving his parents' house at whatever age it is.
Yeah, I'll say the same. Yeah, I agree completely. Like, the Latino tradition, like that dynamic is a lot different than like, American culture.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, at least like for both of us, like leaving, our homes and like I can speak for myself. Like I moved out to go live with D, and in the moment, like my mom was so upset. She was so mad. She was like, how could you be leaving your family? She's gonna be like, why are you outing me? She's like, how could you be doing this? She's like, you're gonna come back pregnant and all this stuff, and that's just what they ingrain in you, like they guilt.
It's guilt.
Yeah. And, for the longest, I did feel very, very guilty. And it was so cute because my sister, she would text me every single day. Did you eat today? Did you eat today? And it was like, it was so sweet. Like, and I did feel, like I said, I felt guilty at the time, but I think it needed to happen. And then after I lived with him, then I was like, you know what? I want my own, I want my own place.
Yeah.
And then now, like, I live completely alone, and it's like, I recommend it. I know that like now
Too
you're
late
married.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're engaged, but like I will say, like, there's nothing like being in your own space. No one like telling you come home at this time. No one like checking in. Like nothing like that. But it is scary. I think mostly because like we are so close to our families, and like I said, that codependency, that like, it's going to be a little different. Now they're not going to have you there, like, when you come home from work. Yeah. And now when they want to know, like, what's going on, they're going to have to call you.
Yeah.
And it's good because you're not going to be too far.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not like they're checking, I wouldn't say they don't check up on me, but it's like, as I got older, before I would be like, tenés que llegar a la casa antes de las 10, but now it's a lot different.
Yeah. Exactly.
But it's, even I could go, like, for example, today, right? I haven't really been home the whole day, but they know that I'm still going to get there. Or, like, they know that they're going to wake up and I'm going to be there. Like, it's just, I think, them knowing I'm still there.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's not the same. I mean, not that it's not the same anymore, but I just, again, I'm just excited to start this. And I think it's time. And it's just life. And thankfully, I will say, I think that they're very understanding, and it's very different, I would say, because I'm a lot older, and they know Kevin. We've been together for a very long time. It's not like I'm, obviously if it was just
like running away or like,
it would have been a lot different. But I feel like they're very understanding. Like, we've talked about this, and they've said, we had that time too, and it's okay. Like, my dad, which made me like feel not guilty, but it made me tear up because he was like, the little bird eventually grows up and has to fly away. And I was just like, oh,
that's so emotional. Like,
yeah. And if you know my dad, he's very like reserved and all that, but it's like, I don't know, it just made me feel really emotional. But it's like, I'm like, okay, I can relax. It's okay for me to go.
Yeah. And that's good because like now you're going on to your own journey.
Yeah. And you mentioned, that when you moved out, your mom was, saying those things and everything. And honestly, for me, so I moved out I was 21. And, I wonder sometimes still, like, what would have the conversation with my mom been like if I would have just said, I'm moving out by myself? And I think that's the thing. You're moving out with a guy, you know, and that's, I think, where it's different, especially, you know, since we moved out so young anyways. Yeah. But in terms of my mom, you know, I think, number one, we just got to rip off the Band-Aid, right? Like, you got to have that conversation because it's important. And, you know, they already knew Nesto, and they had already, like, you guys know, we've been since high school pretty much. But they already kind of knew him. We had already been dating for a while. I will say it wasn't that we had been dating for a long time before we moved out. But I think we were already thinking about moving out. Like, I remember the summer before we decided to move out, we were already like apartment shopping, like low key, and like just kind of planning things out and stuff without telling anybody. And then I told Ernesto that I wanted a dog, and I remember we got bricks, and my mom was like, "Ese perro no me lo vas a traer a la casa."
I remember that.
You were still at home?
I was still at home, and she was like, "Ese perro no me lo vas a traer a la casa," and I was like, okay, look, this might just be a sign. Like, I already knew that I was getting ready to head out, and I'm not saying I left for a dog, but you know, like,
you didn't let me have a dog. Okay, bye.
Yeah, no, but you know, like, at the same time, that's like, those are these signs that we get where it's just kind of like, you got to take that leap.
You use that as an excuse.
Yeah, and so, you know, like, no, but I did tell her when I had the conversation with her, I said, you know, I'm gonna move out and I'm gonna be living with Ernesto, and I will tell you, I got big time, like, no estás casada, pensé que las cosas iban a ser diferente, like this, and that. Because, you know, my sister, she also moved out pretty early. And I honestly can't remember if she moved out somewhat. I mean, I think she had roommates pretty much the whole time that she had left. But, you know, we've definitely been pretty different growing up anyways. But, you know, my mom, I think I'm not even going to say just my mom, because I think my parents just had, like, I don't want to say higher expectations for me. I want to say different expectations based off of, I moved out when I was in a relationship, you know? So they're expecting, okay, like, you know, we want her to be married. We want her to do things the correct way. And so when I did, and, you know, tell her that, like, I remember I think her reaction was very based off of impulse, because it was more of like, es que no sé. Es que vas a terminar así y acá, y qué va a decir la gente, and this and that. And, like, you know what? In the moment, I was really hurt, because my first thing was, like, the one person I thought that would understand in this moment isn't understanding. But I think it was based off of her hurt as well. Like, you know, like, sometimes people show, like, they react differently, and people have, like, different ways of expressing their feelings. Because I remember we were moving out, like, what, I think the week after or something. I think I told her, like, a week before I moved out. That was me too.
That's crazy.
So I was just like, I'm ready to go. And I remember she was like, you know, I'm over here thinking, like, okay, they're not even gonna help us. Like, I'm already planning, like, we're not gonna have any help or nothing. I remember that they went out that night. But when I woke up in the morning, like, she had packed up a couple of, like, dishes that she had, and, like, cute. You know, tenedores, cucharas, and, like, she packed up a good amount of stuff for us. And that's when I really realized, I think, between her and my dad, they reacted the way they did because I'm the princess. I'm the little one. And their little one, their princess was leaving. And you also, and, you know, I was always home. I was always super sorry. I didn't, you know, okay. But I was always home. I wasn't always home, but most of the time I was home, and I had a really good relationship with them as well. So I really feel like it really just hit them, like, okay, we've been through this once when the older one left, and now it's like, you know, our little one is leaving.
Yeah. I mean, and also it was kind of like, you caught them by surprise.
I did.
Like, a week? I think I gave a month's notice, actually.
Yeah, no, I did. But that's where I'm saying, it's like, they've done it before. Yeah. You know, and it's, and as I've had to make clear, like, it will never show that I love them less and I'm still very close to my, you know, like to my parents. I live pretty close to them. And so, you know, we still have like Wednesday nights at my mom's, and we'll always go have dinner.
Yeah.
She's always making dinner, you know, so it's still nice, and it's definitely taught me a lot. But I would like to know, how was your, I know you mentioned a little bit of like how they reacted, you know, did you ever talk to your mom individually or your dad individually, or you just ended up telling them both together?
Well, before I answer that, I will say I remember, like, I kind of want to go back to you. Like, I remember when you were moving out, and I was actually kind of sad too. Not because she, like, I was happy that she was, you know, doing that, but at the same time, like, I used to sleep over her house, like, almost every weekend. So to me, it was like an end of a chapter in my childhood, because I knew that, yeah, I could come over to where they were going to live. It was definitely going to be nice because it was going to be more free and everything. Yeah. But then again, it's like, Ernesto was there.
Yeah, it was going to be different.
It was going to be different. It's not like we're going to have a sleepover, you know? But yeah, I mean, everything worked out well, so I'm happy for you, and I'm glad everything went okay. In terms of what you just asked me, I feel like I've always been more open to talking to my mom, and only in terms of that, because my dad, and that's why I mentioned the thing about the bird, because my mom, I've always been very close to my mom. So I could talk to her more, and I knew she would understand. Whereas, like, my dad, he would not like to talk about those things. He would just get upset, even if I would bring it up. I remember this one time, it was just me and my parents, and, you know, I was just telling them, like, look, it could be that maybe, this was like a year or two ago, and I was like, you know, we could be moving out soon. And I just remember my dad, like, he didn't get mad towards me. I think he was just mad at the situation. You know, his little girl was growing up, and he just went outside. And I just remember, like, I think he, like, probably cried, because when he came back inside, he was all, like, teary-eyed. But last year, you know, even before I knew I was getting proposed to, Kevin and I mean, it's been a long time coming. We've talked about it, and they knew about it. So I think it's, comparison to you guys, it's, I wouldn't say easier, but in some ways a little bit easier at this point and stage in my life to leave. It's harder because I'm an only child, as compared to, like, your sister had already done it, so maybe you felt more courageous to do it, and
I was scared as a mother.
Yeah, you were the first child to do it, but then again, you had your sisters who were still there with your mom, so you were like, okay, she at least has them still. But, you know, and I will say, like, there's nothing wrong with waiting, as well as, you know, leaving early. And Kevin and I had our own personal reasons as to why we waited a long time, and it's not because it was the correct thing to do within, you know, like what my parents, you know, would suggest, or like kind of just in the Latino community, getting married, you know, before we're, you know, moving out and everything. It's just stuff that we had to do. Like, I remember I was still I went to school, like I went to university. Obviously, I was able to save money that way. It's not like I'm living there for free. Yeah, maybe at first when I was younger, but not anymore. Like, you know, but it's just a lot of different reasons, like, you know, medical reasons regarding, you know, everything that in my personal life. But again, like, it's very difficult, but I'm just, I don't know. It's just, I'm ready to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that your parents would have been as accepting of you moving out if you hadn't gotten engaged? Do you think that would have changed their reaction?
Not necessarily, no. Only because I'm already at a certain age.
Yeah.
Like, because we've already talked about it, I would say it's been like a couple of years. I would say like a year or two already of us talking about it with Kevin, and as me as well, like with them. But I feel like that probably made them a little happier, I would say, as compared to, like, if I was 2021, I would have gotten the same reaction. Yeah. Like, I can already tell, like, you know, my mom or my dad, they would have probably given the same thing. And I will say, I don't know why, but within the Hispanic community, they're always so worried about what other people think. And I really do not understand that. Yeah. Like, as long as you're okay with it, like, as my mom or as my dad, I don't care what the rest of the world thinks. Yeah. And not even if they're okay with it. Like, I'm allowed to, you know, you left, and that's okay. Like, you know, you felt like you were ready to move out, and that's completely okay. They shouldn't have to worry about, ¿y qué va a decir tía? ¿Qué va a decir amiga? La vecina? Like, it's just, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, at the end of the day, and I think I learned this right when I moved out, that, you know, number one, just because it isn't normal in the culture and the community, like, that doesn't mean it's wrong. But number two, I'm not worried about what anybody has to say that doesn't pay my bills.
Yeah.
That part.
It's as simple as that. Like, I don't know why. I don't know. It's just seen. And it's not even just, like, in regards to moving out. It's everything.
Everything. That's true. Yeah.
La María Cristina se fue de la casa.
Yeah, no, yeah. Like,
y con
you know.
el novio, con Ernesto.
And I think it kind of comes down to, like, because, you know, they're used to talking to all these people on a daily basis, right? So it's like, ¿cómo van a responder? Like, I really think that's what it is. Like, they're worried about cómo van a responder. But, you know, like, I will say, I definitely don't regret moving out at the age I did. You know, I think that was one of the best steps that I could take for me to really learn life the way I needed to learn.
Yep.
You know, because I will say, like I said, my sister and I were very different, right? So I remember when we were younger, like, we would be at home and, you know, we always had to divide up our chores and stuff. And so literally there will be we would have certain days to do things. And when it was her days to wash dishes, like, you know, she was always washing dishes. But the day that it was my day to wash dishes, my dad would be like, no, mija, no te preocupes, yo lo voy a lavar. And now, like, you know, I move out and it's like,
sorry, guys.
I have to wash dishes.
That's my cat's food, by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But, you know, like, it was just one of those things where I felt like that's definitely something I needed. And I'm not saying that there's little things that would have made it like that, but I think in terms of everything, like, just learning financial freedom in general, like, you know, moving out was the only way I was able to do that. You know, they don't teach us that in school. They don't, you know, and a lot of the times in the Latino cultures, we are kind of struggling growing up, like, you know, and that's not everybody, but at the same time, I think at least we weren't rich, you know, so I think that, like, moving out did kind of help me learn to manage money and learn to really be independent and know that. And I will say this, and I know I'm, like, jumping back and forth from everywhere, but I think one of my biggest things is, like, for me, one of my biggest things when I moved out was, like, I need to prove my responsibility. Yeah. Like, I felt like the moment I stepped out of that house, I should never be stepping back here to ask to live again. You know, and I do say that where in the sense of, like, and it's not because they wouldn't take me, it's not because of anything, but that was proving it to me that if I'm ready to move out, that means I will never have to ask for the help, you know. And that is one thing with, like, moving with somebody versus moving alone, which I know you've kind of gone through both of them, because at least me moving in with Nesto, you know, we were able to say, okay, this is how we're going to manage this is how we're going to manage that. But I'm sure, you know, when you moved in alone, like, financial wise, it was definitely, I don't want to say an eye opener, but I'm sure it was very different because
definitely was. Yeah.
Not everything's.
Yeah. And I'm kind of curious, like, Brie, like, okay, you moved out, you know, like, with D and everything, but he's also outside of the culture. Was there any type of reaction in that sense?
Actually, no, not at all. As far as, like, you know, him not being Latino or anything like that, nothing at all. I think they were just really, because I sat down my mom and my stepdad, because he's also very, you know, like, we're very close, but I also had him there as backup because he's more, like, level-headed.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I feel like he would I don't know, in my mind I thought things were gonna escalate, thought, you know, like, my mom was gonna start yelling at me or whatever, which she did yell at me, but no, not she it wasn't anything like that. I think, and for me, I think it was more of a culture shock for me because I moved in with him, and it's a different dynamic in the mornings, you know, like yeah, like yeah, exactly. It's I felt like it was just like I'm the loud one. I got all the music, you know, like that kind of thing. But no, it was a little different. Yeah, not like what you would expect, you know, because I know that in some families, like that is a big thing. Like there's people that are dating outside of their culture, and and some people will not date outside of their culture just for that reason, you know, like because of just traditions, and it's just like for some people it's a little bit easier to manage, but not at all. But it's been I like you said, I don't regret it at all because I think it moved me to be more independent, and that's the thing. I think I've always been really independent. I just wanted to fly. Like if you ask my mom, like I just wanted to go. Like I think the minute that I could get my license, I got my license. I wanted to just do everything by myself, for myself. And it's like, you know, and I like me being the oldest, I don't know if it was part of that, but also part of it, I think, and I will say my mom was very strict. She was very protective, as most moms are, you know. But it was just always like no boyfriends, no like sleepovers, no like going out with, you know, friends. Like I remember when I was in middle school, my first like time hanging out with like somebody that wasn't my siblings was like a school project. Like yeah, it was like one of those things. So I was like, I'm ready to go. Like
and I think that we see that a lot, like at least I mean in the Hispanic community. I'm sure it happens with other cultures, specifically girls, you know. But sometimes they don't realize the more strict you are, the more it may want you to venture out and leave. Because there are pros and cons.
Yeah.
And it's just like that kind of sometimes like, you know, that strictness could have been like where that pushed you to leave and wanted to be independent.
It really did, and I think that I was like, at that point, I was just like, because like, she wouldn't let me dye my hair, which I did, I still did. Yeah. That's the thing, like, and the thing is, like, you couldn't do anything without, you know, like, it being like, her being, I always just worried of her being disappointed, you know, like that kind of thing. And I think that was the biggest thing. But then when I moved out, you know, alone, it was a little bit different, and I always joke around with Dee actually that like when we get a place, like I want like one house and then another house and then like a little bridge that meets in the middle, because I really like to like I really like my own space.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't know. It's just
there's sorry to interrupt you, but there is people like I know that are married. Not that I personally know, that I've seen like on social media or whatever, that they're married or they live together, but they don't sleep together. They have their own rooms.
Yeah. No, I like to cuddle, so no, like, but it's just like that. I don't know. It's just, I like to be able to, because I think we mentioned in the other episode where like our jobs require a lot of like mental and emotional, and we're just you know, drained at the end of the day. So I like to be able to just come home and not talk to anybody, you know, and just like you know, being in solitude has also like made me grow personally. Like it's just a lot of personal growth. I'm more comfortable being alone. I'm more comfortable doing things alone. And like I said, I recommend it if someone is out there and you can, you know, like in this case, you guys can't, and that's something that like you guys you'll never get to really experience too.
Yeah, sometimes I am kind of like, I kind of wonder what it was, what would it have been like? Not necessarily. Yeah, I have the curiosity how it. Oh my god, I can't talk. How would oh my goodness. How it would have been if I would have left, like not left, but moved out with Kevin earlier, but as well as moved on my own, or not even just alone, but also with the roommate. Yeah. Like I'm always curious to that, and I hope I don't ever have to figure that out. But
Yeah.
like, I will say too, there's nothing wrong with having to go back home. Like, if there are
Yeah.
situations
Yeah.
where some people, like, financial reasons, or for whatever reason, there's nothing wrong with you having to go back to your parents' house if they're welcoming. And I know that it's hard because it's kind of like what you were saying before, that
Yeah.
pride, or like, you want to prove yourself wrong. But thankfully, like, there are parents out there that will always have an open door.
Yeah.
Of course. And that's why I said, like, I definitely don't think my parents would have accepted me. I think that was just me, like, that was just my, I want to say, race to myself kind of thing. Because, right before Ernesto and I moved out, like, we had spoken, because I definitely can't remember the entire conversation. But, I do also agree in the sense of what you were saying with, like, having a strict parent, right? Like, sometimes that does want to push you, like, to move out, to be this. But I think the one advice that I can give, if you have not moved out yet and you have a strict parent, is make sure, whether you're going alone or with someone, make sure that you are moving out for growth and for and to be independent, not just because of strict parents, just because like,
that's true.
It's definitely easy. And I like to compare it because when I was younger, like, I don't know about you guys, but like when I was younger, sometimes we would go to the store and, like, I want Oreos, or I want, like, this snack or this snack and this snack. And, like, my mom or dad, like, a lot of times they were just like, no, tenemos cosas en la casa, hay comida en la casa, hay this en la casa.
Yeah.
When I moved out, when I'm telling you, Ernesto and I got so many snacks, like, and now we can eat them whenever we want.
Exactly.
We can wake up at midnight and eat some snacks. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it was just, it was good, but also very different. I don't think that I really thought everything through when I said I'm about to go move in with Nesto. And to tie it back to que van a empezar de más, or like, you should be married first, I will tell you one thing. I am very glad that I moved in with Nesto prior to us moving in.
Yep.
I mean, prior to us getting married. And it's not just because it let us, like, be together a little bit longer, but I think it was just more of, like, it really showed me, it really tested our relationship.
Yeah.
It really tested our communication, and it really tested our respect for each other. And we talked about this in, I don't remember if it was our first or our second episode. We are very type A.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I would have been able to get married with somebody and then move in with them. And there is nothing wrong with it. And I applaud the people who do.
Yeah.
Because to me, I felt like there were certain ways and things that I like things done that, if you're going to live with me, it has to be done this way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it could be little things like putting the toilet seat down.
Mm-hmm.
Or,
Yep.
Which it was a hassle. Like, things like that is just like, he would not put the toilet seat down for so long. I remember it was our first apartment. I felt like every day I was like, babe, the toilet seat, babe, the toilet seat, babe, the toilet seat. Or, even like picking things up, or, him picking things up, or him liking it clean a certain way and I liking it clean a certain way. As much as these things seem so little, they really test your relationship, and they really test your respect towards each other and everything. Now with him, it might have been a little bit different because, he grew up with his mom, his sisters, and, his dad was there, but his dad was mostly working as well. Like, I wonder how different it was for him to move out.
Yeah.
If, let's just say, and I don't know if this is the way it is, but, like, let's just say, his mom was doing most of the cleanup, or his mom was doing most of the cooking, or however, or even if, like, it was him who was doing it most and he would do it all himself, it's just like, how different was that for them too?
That's true.
I feel like, my experience, right? Like, I'm not going to be able to live with Kevin for a long time before we actually, like, get married. And like my part in that is it is definitely going to be, like you said, a test in our relationship or whatever. But then at the same time, it's like, I know, like, I don't get me wrong. I know that it's completely different, like living with someone as compared to just, being with someone.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know that we're going to be okay. And I know that we're going to we're going to find out new things about each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
And there's definitely going to be days where it's going to be hard. I know that. Like, I know it's going to be hard, but I know, like, who we are as a couple. And I know that we're going to always try to work our best, even if, like, we haven't had too much time. And not even just, like, the bad stuff, but also, like, I'm excited to just kind of have that freedom, and I'm not saying that I can't, like, that I'm strict, in my house right now. But what I mean is, just like kind of like what you said, if we want to get Oreos and eat them like at 12 a.m. and I'm not saying we can't do that, but it's like if I just want to chill on the couch with them, like with him, and it's just having that freedom for it just being us, and it's our moment now, and it's not him coming over my house or me going over his house. It's our house and it's our time, and I know it's gonna be really hard. I know it's gonna be nice, but I'm just excited to enter that. So
it's one of the most exciting things I think
it is.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. There we go.
For sure.
Ding, ding, ding. I said it first.
I think I said it earlier. I said it earlier.
Oh,
yeah.
Man,
I was like,
I feel like I've been pretty good.
I don't think you have
I've been
such
trying not
no.
to say.
I was like, they didn't notice. And I said,
I didn't actually. I thought I was really the first one.
No. But yeah, no, that's true. I think that, like you mentioned, I don't think I would be able, I know that it's kind of looked down upon in like traditional, more like conservative cultures to move in with your significant other before you get married. But I think that's, in my opinion, is the smartest thing, just out of the simple fact of like, you don't really know someone until you live with them. And even with like, you've been with Kevin for so long, so you already know him. Like, you already know him like the back of your hand. He knows you. But there are like, like just once, like even siblings, like let's for example, like you guys, like if you're like together all the time, you bicker. So when friends take vacations together, like it's different when you're like in a home for a long time together. So it's going to be, it'll be nice because you guys will get to, and like you said, learn more things about each other in a sense.
But it's going to, I trust me. I know there's going to be days where I'm like, get away from me. Not get away from me, but I know there's going to be difficult days where I'm just like, I wish I would have moved in with him a lot earlier.
And I will say, just to kind of go off of what both of you say, like you said, she does know him for a really long time. And you know what the good thing is like, we've been on vacations together. We've already kind of, at least all of us being in a house together, like stuff like that. But going in what you said, like, I will say this. I think it's great that you still get to move in with him before y'all get married, but you're not with him for so long before you get married. And the reason why I say that is because, again, I moved out when I was 21, right? So I lived with Ernesto for 6 years before we got married. And I'm not saying there was no excitement. I'm not saying there was anything wrong with it, but I do wish there was a little bit in terms of like putting a home together. Like, I do wish that was part of like our marriage, like, because we had our home set. Like, we have gotten to this point where we're just like, this is what works for us, and we have a routine, and we're happy with our routine. And we got married, and there's a lot of other things, exciting things that come with marriage. But when it comes to have living together for so long, I think we would both agree, like, it was definitely not one of like the top exciting things after we got married. Like, oh, we finally get to live together. I like that excitement. Like, so I do think it's still going to be good for you because you guys are still going to be like pretty new, but you would have, and again, it's not like you don't, already know all of his ins and outs, because you do. You guys have been together for so long. So I think you get a good balance of both.
Yeah. Is there any like advice I guess you guys would recommend to me? I wouldn't say just like moving in with him because you know you still live like you live with Ernesto, but also just being out alone. Like, and I don't mean I'm gonna be alone like moving out alone, but it's different from being with my parents.
Right. I will say definitely still be very like set on your boundaries, because like when we, you know, live with someone, you know, we're together all the time, and you don't want, like you said, like sometimes you're like, get away from me, and like you don't want to be mean or, you know, like that. And I don't know if Kevin's very like you know, like lovey and stuff like that, or if like, you know, like you have the friends that like you can't, they don't like hugs, like that kind of thing. But
so
like I have so many friends that they're just like, what are you doing? Like, and I'm like a hugger, you know. But I think like I will say just have like for example, D and I, we like I said, I like my space. I'm very set on like, I get very overstimulated, especially like if I'm stressed or anything like that. I get overstimulated. So I have like a safe word. All I say is NASA, and it means space. Like I want space. Like, so I will say, yeah.
Like that.
So so and it's just like no hard feelings. Like it's just one of those things. Like, you know, let's like. Because you're going to be living together, right? Yeah. So it's like, it's going to be good. Like you do your own thing, because you guys need to set boundaries separately to not overstimulate each other.
And I actually do appreciate that a lot. I think that's actually really smart. And the only reason why I say that too is because I feel like I can get very overstimulated, and sometimes he also doesn't know how to help me in that sense. Especially when I'm stressed or annoyed, you know, like, or even if I'm having like a long day, and let's say when we finally live together and I'm just like, look, I need a day to kind of like, or whatever, right? Whatever the case may be. But I think I like that. I would definitely really take that into consideration, because, you know, if I'm having an off day, or even if, you know, whatever, again, but if in that moment I can feel myself like needing that space, I just don't want you to feel like I'm pushing you away. It's just,
you need it.
I need me time.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's to kind of evaluate the situation and be like, okay, I just
exactly. And he'll have those days too, you know, like, and it's always good. Like we always hang out independently from them, you know, so that's always good too, just to keep things separate. I'm just kind of curious though, before you give her your advice, because I keep thinking about it, because he has a dog too. Do they get along? Milo and what's his dog's name? Max. They actually
do. Yeah, it's so I'm about to get to you. Sorry. But like Max is a German Shepherd, and
did we say what Milo was already?
I think I said it in the no, I just said it in this episode. He's a Golden Retriever.
I
just say it because it's in my palm. Milo is very, you know, Golden Retriever energy. He doesn't like small dogs for some weird reason, but he's discriminating,
and he's so big too.
I know, but like, he's kind of open to playing with all dogs rather than Max. He's a little bit older. They're about 3 years apart. So he's a little bit older. Max is kind of like older dog energy, or I'm like, leave me alone, I'm an independent dog. Yeah. But him and Milo, for some reason, he's okay with Milo being around. So, because that was another thing I would worry about before, but no, they get along, thankfully.
I'm like, it's gonna be a cute dynamic. They're gonna have bestie. Yeah. Aww.
I'm really excited to just kind of be home with our dogs. Like, it's difficult right now because I feel guilty, not because of my parents also, but also because one dog is getting more attention than the other. When we're at my house, all the attention's on Milo. When we're at his house, all the attention's on Max. And it's kind of like, we can, like, I'm not saying that I can't bring Milo or he can't bring Max, because we definitely do. But there's situations where we don't always have them together. And he has another dog at home because of his brother. But I'm excited to just kind of come home to my little family. Like, I don't know, it's just cute.
It is. And I feel, well, you know, when we moved out, like I said, we had gotten bricks. We got bricks super little. and then Ernesto already had Keela.
Yeah.
So
How was
that was
that?
definitely a transition for her because she was used to Nesto. Like me and her got at it. In
I
the
was gonna
beginning.
say, you
Like,
guys had beef, huh?
we did. We had beef for real because she's like, he's mine, and I'm like, no, he's not. But you know, like But I will say this: I think if we wouldn't have gotten Bricks at the time that we did, she would have been a little bit more jealous because I do feel that. And you know, it's funny because according to Nesto, like, she had never really been good with too many other dogs. She was more of a people person. But when it came to Bricks, like, they were so close. Like, they literally would just cuddle. Plus, Bricks was, like, this small, and now
it's like they know.
Dog.
They're so smart. They know, like, I don't know. It's kind of like they know their siblings in a way. It's so weird.
They do.
But now, was Keela... Because I'll tell you one thing. Before I had Milo, Max did not like me. Like, he would be super jealous whenever I would hug Kevin.
And
like,
he's a boy dog, right?
Yeah, but it's just, there's, like, an attachment thing. He is obsessed. Like, you've seen Max. Yeah. And he would, like, there was this one time, not to kind of, we can cut this out if anything, but there was this one time I remember, like, we were in, basically, like, Max would not let me get near Milo, which, I mean, near Kevin, and I was like, what the heck? But the moment I got Milo, completely changed.
He's like, she can be trusted. She has a dog.
It was so weird. Yeah, it was so strange. And, like, Kevin could even tell you that. Like, he completely changed with me. And it's not like he was aggressive towards me. It was just kind of like he was jealous of me. Like, even if I would hug Kevin, like, I would be sitting down next to him, he would just be like crying all the time. But now it's like, he even gets jealous if I hug other people now. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's so crazy.
That is really cute. You know, she wasn't really any, like, indifferent towards me too much. Like, I will say, like, you know, she's a sweet girl at the end of the day, and
no, she is.
She is a sweet
girl. She's such
so
a lover
cute.
girl.
She's always, like, sitting there and beep, 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 with her little
Yeah.
tail. It's so cute.
Like, shut the fuck up, girl.
You're mean to her. It's because you got beef because Ernesto loves her, too.
Yeah, she's just a jealous
Wait,
one.
what did I say in the beginning? Oh, no, okay. So, no, I don't really... I don't necessarily think that, you know, she was ever indifferent towards me in any type of way. But I will say, like, I could definitely see in the beginning just her attachment to Ernesto. Like, mind you, he had told me, like, you know, when they used to live together, or when he used to live at home, she would sleep with him every night. Like, you know, Keela was his best friend in a sense, you know. So then when we moved in together, you know, it was just more of like, she didn't get that same attention from him, and it was kind of like, it's that jealousy, right? Because she's like, okay, now Dad's giving all of his attention to her. But when it did come to her and Bricks, honestly, they were super close. They grew up super close. Actually, Bricks went to this training for like 2 weeks, and when he came back after his training, Keela picked right up after him. Like, we didn't even have to show her. It was like monkey see, monkey do. He came back and, you know, we were practicing with him, and she's super smart. So, like, she ended up getting it all. Then, you know, a couple years after, we ended up getting Chanel.
Yeah.
But Sharon was like, stop getting dogs. I'm like, I love me some dogs. But we ended up getting Chanel. Chanel was the same thing. She picked up after both of them. We didn't have to send any other ones to training.
Nice. Dang.
And, you know, now, you know, my dogs, you know,
they're really good. They're obedient.
But I will say, to kind of get out of that conversation and in terms of, like, you know, advice and everything, I definitely do agree with Perseda. Like, definitely you both take the time and the space for each other.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I know it won't be like that because this is the moment you've been waiting for. You know what I'm saying? It's like
a honeymoon phase.
Yeah, like you guys, this is the moment you've been waiting for, and it's the best time, right? But then, you know, eventually and all of that. It's just, I think more to, like, summarize it up is, like, it goes for the both of you. Like, you know, don't ever forget who both of you are in terms of what you each individually like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's say your self-care is, you know, getting in the shower, doing your hair, or, you know, laying on the couch and watching TV. And maybe Kevin's self-care is, I need to go drive around in my car, like, and think and listen. You know, for example, Ernesto's self-care is going to wash his car. You know, that, like, if he's washing his car, that's his time to escape from the world. Like, that's his me time. Versus me, I'm different. You know, my me time is, I am going to do a hair mask, or I'm going to be chilling on the couch, or honestly, because of the way our family is, my me time is me folding on the couch and folding laundry.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, we each say we're taking our me time. And I will add this as well right before, you know, I'm done. But I feel like throughout the time that we've been together, we've definitely found things that have worked for each one of us. And as you guys know right now, like, Ernesto's very busy right now. You know, he works in the morning, and then he's working a whole part-time afterwards as well. So even though I live with him, a lot of times it's like I'm home alone pretty much all the time. So I kind of feel you're having that space. And, you know, Nessa's like, you could put anything in here. I just want to come home and sleep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He's not the big decor type. Like, he's like, whatever. But with how busy our schedules are, where he might be off on, let's say, a Tuesday, and I get out of work late that Tuesday. We just don't cross paths too much, even though we live together. We've made it a thing. Like, I don't know, but, you know, we're going to take date nights. Like, you know, ever since we got married, actually, on the 21st of every month, that's our date night. Like, every 21st, nice. You know. And Sundays are us days. We've said it. You know, I think no matter what's going on or anything, like, you know, I know in the family and, you know, just in general, we have birthday parties that are on Sundays and stuff. But we've said it to each other as well. Like, we might go for a couple of hours, but that's our days.
Yeah.
And it needs to learn that everything else in the world will keep going. But I think you guys need to work on yourselves. Like, you know, make sure to give yourselves time.
Love each other, be nice to each other.
Love each other, be nice to each other, and
I'm just gonna have
it's
to learn
exciting.
as I go.
Yeah. You just have to learn, and that's the thing. Everything is different. You know, you don't. I think. I don't even know about giving advice really, because it's just hard. I feel like everybody has different things. Like, you guys know, like, Ernesto and I are both very hard-headed. You know, so like, when it comes to me giving advice, it may not be the same for your relationship. It may not be the same for your relationship, because we have different ways of taking things and making things work for our marriage, right? Like, but I think my biggest thing on any of it is what you said, kind of making sure you guys take time for yourselves.
And yeah, just to piggyback, like, it, you know, it is important to maintain, like, your individual identity, but also, like, you know, you have to prioritize each other too, because you guys are going to be, you know, living together. And like she said, you guys, your family in general, you guys are always busy doing things all together, you know, and stuff. So, you know, if that means, like, saying, like, hey, no, sorry, I can't make it today, you know, then because I need to spend time with Kevin, then that's, like, what you should do. And I think, going back to, like, earlier, I think we mentioned guilt. Like, it's just, we don't want to be in that position where we're like, we want to prioritize this because we want other people to feel bad, or, like, again, like, what are they gonna think, you know?
Yeah, and I'm actually really glad you brought that up, because Kevin and I specifically have always had to prioritize other people.
Yeah.
And it's not like, or other had to, but we've usually,
you felt that, like,
the need to put ourselves, like, I wouldn't say not put ourselves first, because obviously we still do, but I think that now living with him, it's definitely going to be a time where it's like, it's only if we want to, or like we can decide what we want to do, and it's just whatever is best for us, you know? So I'm actually, that's one of the the biggest things. It's like it's finally our time, and I will say after such a long time, it's like it's finally our time. Like
and enjoy every moment.
Yeah,
of it, for sure.
And I know, and I know that we have a lifetime to go. But it's just very nice. It's a nice feeling.
It'll be good though too, like, you know, because you guys are moving in before you get married. It'll be easier to plan, I think,
That
your
is
wedding,
true.
because you'll be, you know, together more often. It takes away, like, when you don't live, because Dee and I don't live together, but like, you know, like the commuting back and forth,
It's
like
tiring.
it's exhausting. So it's definitely gonna help you guys too, because like once you guys, you know, move in together, you're gonna be done focused on, like, because right now you're focused on like buying things, shopping, doing everything and getting that lined up. Then like after that you're just gonna be like focus on the wedding. Focus on planning that.
It's definitely gonna be really hard because we're kind of, you know, it's also not like we are starting from new. We're starting from scratch. So on top of planning a wedding, we're also buying everything new. And you know, like, my mom has been kind of doing the same thing that you've said. Like, she's been having like little things, you know, for me. Like, she has like a little bin where she's
so
so
cute.
it's so cute. And the same thing with his mom. Like, you know, she's like, oh, do you guys want this? Like, you know, so they're very accepting to it. But it's hard because at the same time we want our own stuff.
Yeah.
But then again, it's starting from scratch. So how was it like for you when you moved out and basically had nothing?
Yeah, no. I had to buy all my furniture, actually. I had to get a couch. I had to get 2 TVs. And like you said, it's like you're starting. It was like the expense of it was hard. It was like, you know, that hurts. But I was excited because it's mine. Like, it's my stuff, you know? And now, like, you know, like wherever I move, I'll just take it with me, and that's the beauty of it. But yeah, like the plates and all that. And the thing is, when I was like buying stuff, I'm like, fuck, I need that. Like, it's like there's things that like you don't think about until like you don't have it. Like, you know, like from going to living with my mom and then living with Dee and then now living alone, I'm like, that there's just things, but like, you know, you just have to do it. And like that's, and like the beauty of this is that like my apartment is my apartment. It's decorated for me. Like it's functional to my space. But it's a lot. It's definitely a lot having to buy everything.
Oh, no.
And it's just like, you're just tying everything in, like no matter what, like if you're moving out alone, if that's like, you know, the path that you're going to take, or if it's going to be with someone like your significant other, or if you're just simply going to move in with roommates, there's no right or wrong way. It's really just, I think you mentioned earlier, like doing it for the right reasons, doing it for you, not because of anyone else's pressure or, you know, trying to prove someone else something. It's really just that, and the difficulties are going to come along, you know, just like with everything, but it's just, it does help with self-growth, no matter if you're moving in with someone or moving in alone.
I'm actually curious to see how I grow. I will say that, because yes, I am the way that I am and whatever, but I feel like with that, kind of to tie into what you just said, I also feel like I will be free in a certain way, where I can just kind of be myself in a way. And even like still with Kevin, it's gonna be different, but
self-expression, you know, you'll definitely, and like you mentioned earlier, it's gonna test a lot of your relationship, but it's gonna test your own patience too. With the dogs, now you're gonna have 2 dogs.
Yeah, that is true.
Not just Milo.
I think about
No, you got
true. Oh my goodness,
you
that
got
is true. I
2
didn't even think
babies.
about that, but those are my babies.
We leave it with, don't ever worry about anything else going on in the world, because you paying your bills.
Yep.
Y'all doing it together. You're doing it together, and that's all that matters.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for giving me that advice.
course. Definitely.
And we're excited for you. We're going to be there
we're
throughout
gonna
the
be there.
whole journey, you know.
Yes. And I'm
Gotta have
excited
the
to
good
have you guys
Messiah.
over. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm also excited to just kind of have you guys over too, as well as.
Yeah.
I know you guys have come to my house, but
Yeah.
it's different.
It's just yours. Yeah.
But your mom will be there feeding us.
Oh.
Hopefully
No.
she showed me well so that I can.
Yeah, I was
kind
going
of
to say,
pass
but
it
you'll
along to
feed
you
us.
guys. But yeah, thank you guys. I
Definitely.
really do appreciate that. So. Yeah.
But I think that's a wrap, guys. And remember, besties,
Stay real.
Stay pretty.
And most of all,
stay pink.
Bye.
Bye.